Hi class! Today we will be recreating Claude Monet's Bridge Over a Pond of Water Lilies painting. Claude Monet lived from 1840 to 1926, mostly in Paris, France. He was the founder of the Impressionist movement, which is art that captures movement and changing light and color. He wanted to paint how people see a scene rather than what is actually there. Here is a copy of his famous painting. Ready? Let's begin. Okay kids, let's begin. We're going to start by getting the art kit you received, and we're going to take the following pieces out. You're going to start with the brown piece of paper, which is going to be your work surface, and will protect your area. The second piece will be a piece of watercolor paper that looks like this. It's a little bit on the thicker side. Then there's going to be some Ziploc bags that I need you to take out. You will need to take out your green cup and fill it up with water for the painting piece. You will need your oil pastels, which are in another Ziploc bag. You will need your salt and your paint palette. Which is in your bag somewhere. Here it is. It's in its own Ziploc bag to keep everything else clean and paint-proof. Once you have all those materials out, you can put everything back in the bag and put it aside for now until we need it. So we're going to begin. What do we do? First thing is put our name on the back of our piece of paper. I would like you to write your first name and last initial. And then just what grade you're in. So I'm going to put a 1 because we're doing first grade. Flip over your paper, and here is your watercolor paper ready to begin. So I want you to kind of look in the middle of the piece of paper, and that is where we're going to start with the bridge. The bridge is going to have 3 arches to it. So in the middle, make your first arch. Actually, probably better to pick a nice brown. So make your arch, and then you're going to make 2 more, not too far away from that. We're then going to use other colors to kind of give it some depth and character. But first we're going to make our straight lines. So just make your straight lines kind of like a fence. Now I want you to take a yellow or another color and give that some color. And then I'd like you to finish with some green. And really try to follow that same line so that the pastels blend together. Blend means they're coming together, and in the end you will see how this works. Now make sure to go over all of the lines. If at any point you need time, please pause the video. We're now going to move on, and I want you to take a black oil pastel crayon, and this we're going to shadow, which means the bridge is blocking the sun and it's giving some shadow to it. We're going to do the bottom of everything. The easiest way to do this is start at the top and underneath make a 7. We're just going to make 7s all along. And you can see that I'm just making the 7. The last one, I didn't have that line, so I didn't do it. And then go ahead and do it on the bottom row. Again, just make your 7s. And then you're going to finish by doing a thin little line on the bottom. And that is the start of our bridge. Now we're going to move on, and I'd like you to grab some greens, whatever greens you have. We're going to do the water lilies now. So water lilies are basically a pad with a little flower coming out of it. Within art, and just how you see anything, the closer something is to you, the bigger it is. The farther away, the smaller it is. So as we're looking at this, the bottom is closer to us. So we want our water lilies to be bigger, then going to medium, and then smaller towards the top. Try to leave some space at the bottom and the top where we're not going to have any. So again, just start to draw your water lilies, and remember to get smaller. You can do some on the bridge, and then smaller. Maybe we'll do a big one here, here, medium. And then we're going to just quickly color those in. This should be the fast part. Now I take your other green and kind of give it some different colors and try to blend those greens together by just giving some shadow on some side and just blending it in so that it looks kind of like a lily pad. Okay, now we are going to do the flower part. This is where you get to get creative and pick your colors. So I'm going to start with maybe some orange. I like orange. You just kind of want to do some little flowers coming off the top of it. And again, pick the colors that you like. Remember, the top is farther away in the picture, so those should be smaller. Maybe I'll do a couple red. Oh, and purple, my favorite color. And then if you want, you can go ahead and add some different colors to your flowers. It doesn't have to be just one, so I'm going to do some pink and red. And you can just finish those in the way you like them. Again, don't forget to pause if you need some time to work on something. Okay, so now we're on to the painting part. This next part, you have to kind of be a little bit quick, not rushed, but you can't go have a snack and then come back, because we're going to be using a technique called wet on wet, which is where we're going to wet the paper, use our paint colors to paint it, and then immediately while it's still wet, put the salt on so it can do its job. So first you're going to get your paintbrush nice and wet, and you're just going to wet your entire piece of paper. You don't want it to be soaking, but you want it to be all wet. And you can go wet right over the oil pastels. Okay, so there we are. We are all wet. Now we're going to take our water palette and we are going to do the midsection with blues because the bridge is supposed to be going over water. So get your paintbrush wet and just use some blues to paint it. And you'll see that the wet on wet technique is kind of having your paint make some cool little kind of like bleeding, but it's not painting over the oil pastels. So go ahead and use that blue and color the water underneath the bridge. Remember not to paint on the upper and bottom section. And if you need a little bit more water, go ahead and dip your paintbrush. And this part shouldn't take too long. Just get your blues. Remember, if you need more time, always feel free to pause the video and take your time. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is our greens. So now we have our water under the bridge, and now we need to do the green on the top and the bottom. So after the blue, you can rinse out your paintbrush and you can kind of just push it towards the side to get some water off of it. Then you're going to use your green and you're going to color the bottoms and the top. If you need more water, just dip your paintbrush in. Do your top the same way. Remember, keep grabbing some water. Okay, so this is the part where you need to be a little bit quick. So as soon as you're finished painting, while it's still wet, which is the important part, you're going to take the salt and you're just going to start to sprinkle it on your piece. And if you see if a spot is completely dry, you can always just put some water on it and then just keep putting the salt on it. When you are done, you want to put this aside someplace for it to dry. Remember to rinse and clean your brush and clean your paint palette, and let your paint palette dry a little bit before putting it in the bag. And there you go. Once it's dry, you will have your Bridge Over Water Lilies by Claude Monet. I hope you had fun. Thanks for watching.